Hitting long irons successfully shouldn't be as hard as we all make it. So what is the key things that are changed and different? Obviously, the longer the club, the less angle, the less loft, and the longer the shaft. So we are further away from our work, as I would describe it, which makes it a tad difficult because of that. But there's lots of different things out there about the conceptual ideas about how we hit long irons well. Now, the secret is basically, if you look at the tour data, they are going 6 miles an hour faster with a 4-iron compared to a 7-iron. They are hitting 1 degree less down, but they're still hitting down on the ball 2.9 degrees on average. So for me, the amount down on the golf ball should not be a conscious change from the 7-iron. It's a setup change, it's a static change. So what we're going to make sure we do is have the right conceptual ideas when we hit longer irons, try and hit them with confidence, try not to swing slower, try not necessarily to swing faster. Again, the length of the club should naturally make changes to your swing, but it's interesting enough to look at the tour plays, it's about 6 miles an hour from the 7-iron to the 4-iron. So we want to see that step up. We also want to make sure that we are confident and committed to going through the golf ball. For me, is important. So we're going to talk you through the setup for a 4-iron, we're going to talk you through the setup changes from a 4-iron to a 7-iron, and we're also going to talk to you about a conceptual way to hit irons on the golf course, long irons on the golf course, that's going to help you play better. One of the first things to note is, because of the loft on the club, the shaft doesn't need to be quite as far forward in order to present the sweet spot of the club to the ball. And you'll see that from a slight image and demonstration I will put on the screen. So that's part of the reason why we don't need to hit down on the ball as much. Secondly, with the setup change, the down on the ball angle naturally changes. So if we look at this setup I got here, and I've got my feet here shoulder width apart, as near as damn it. Sometimes mine goes a little wider, but I'm trying to get my feet there shoulder width apart. So if I take my arms from the side of my body and point them straight down, I want my fingers to point in the middle of my feet. Feet to be flared slightly, left one more than right. Then if we look at what we want from a ball position perspective with these two rods, I'll try and get these as neutral and square as I can to the camera. So this would be kind of a 7-iron, bang in the center of the stance, and this would be a 4-iron, which is going to be probably about 2 to 3 golf balls more forward in the stance. So it kind of sits in between center and left heel. A 3-iron certainly would be a little bit more forward again, and a 2-iron and so on. A driver would be left heel-ish, left toe, left heel, somewhere around there. And the furthest back I'd want the ball position for a standard iron shot would be center. So the ball position is going to go slightly forward, the stance stays the same, the sternum location stays the same with all clubs. So the sternum, relevant to the ball position, changes our angle of approach. Because I'm here and the ball's more forward, the club is less down on the golf ball when it starts to go back up on its circle as it goes through the golf ball. So the point where it's going to be traveling on its most down is obviously further back in the stance. With the driver, we want to hit up on the ball about 2 to 3 degrees, depending on your club head speed. With the 4-iron, 2.9 down. So it's slightly more forward than the 7-iron. And what I'd get you to do is have these rods down, just to have a feel around, first of all, of where your ball position should be and how that feels. Otherwise, your setup stays exactly the same. The amount of handle forward address is less with a 4-iron because the ball's more forward. So I'd always want the hands to be opposite the inside your left groin or inside your left thigh. But as that ball goes forward, obviously the amount of angle is less. So the amount of shaft lean we're going to produce at impact is less. With a 7-iron, we're talking about 11 degrees of shaft lean. With a 4-iron, it would be about 5 degrees of shaft lean from a point of view of an elite ball striker. Now, most of you golfers out there won't achieve 11 degrees of shaft lean anyway, so we can certainly not worry about trying to reduce the amount of shaft lean we have with a longer club because of the tendencies you have. Now, if you take big meaty divots after the golf ball, then probably you can lay off the shaft lean elements and really focus a bit more on your torso location, making sure you're not getting the head of the ball too much, because that might be causing that. But essentially, if we just take a nice divot after the golf ball with a 7-iron, we're just moving the ball forward in the stance, keeping our head in the center, and making no real other changes. Apart from we want to make sure we still are committed. We don't try and be all negative because it's a 4-iron. We try and drive through the golf ball, which we'll talk about in 1 second, to make sure we still get that real positive outcome. So if I just kick that ball away first of all, and we go back now to taking my setup, so the ball position's in the front section of the stance, I'm setting them to the ball, head still in the center. That's how I'd set up for my 4-iron. Let's go ahead and hit that one. Really hit that well, nice divot in the right kind of location. The low point for reference should be under the left armpit. And with a 4-iron, about 2 inches after the golf ball. With a 7-iron, about 4 to 5 inches after the golf ball. That's where we're looking for the low point to be. And the ball position, as we move it forward, changes that naturally, as long as we've got a good low point with the 7-iron in the first place. So in order to give us a visual of making sure we try and drive through the golf ball, I've got a secondary stick here, and I've put it way too far forward, just for safety reasons. I don't want to whack it. But what I'm going to try and do is set up the same way, and then really feel like I'm trying to reach the divot and the low point to that secondary spot, and I'm really trying to feel like I'm driving through the golf ball as opposed to at the golf ball. So I'm taking my setup, ball position in the front section, head in the same position. I'm really trying to drive through and up, forward, and be committed to the shot each time. And from a mental point of view, I want you to relive your best ever shot you've hit with a 4-iron. I want you to relive the best ever shot you've hit with a 3-iron. Whatever long iron you're hitting, that has to be in the memory bank. If we go there thinking, oh God, last time I hit this club, I hit it terrible, I'm no good with this club, that's going to do us no good whatsoever. We have to relive 3 to 5 real positive memories with each club if we can, to help the mental state and the confidence. And I'd rather you die on your sword, as we would say. I'd rather you go out there and be 100% committed and full throttle and try and get through the golf ball and go, right, okay, I'm going to really have a go at this, rather than be there tentative and steering and just try and, oh, I'm just going to nudge this one down the fairway or towards the green because I don't think I'm any good with this club. And certainly, if you don't practice with these long clubs on the course and on the range or the practice area, then you're probably not going to get any better with them or gain that extra bit of confidence with them. I'd encourage you, when you go out and play, drop a few extra balls down and hit a few long irons off the fairway and start to rebuild some history and mental history and confidence in these longer clubs, knowing that you're going to try and do the same swing with the natural changes. We're further away from the golf ball, so the plane's going to be naturally a bit lower. The ball's more forward, so the angular approach is going to be naturally a little bit less down, but we're still going to try and feel like we swing through the ball, turn through the ball, do all the things I'd want you to do with a 7-iron in terms of like kind of hand path and all that kind of stuff to be successful. Give it a go and let me know how you get on.